guys, welcome. We're going to do this homework. It's our first one on trig ratios. So let's dive in. It says, identify the angle they are talking about, then set up the trig ratio. Use these words, opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. Okay, so let's take a look at this. It says the tangent of z. The tangent of z, that's a function. So the angle they're talking about is z. So in relation to this being my reference angle, the tangent of z is equal to, and the tangent function is equal to, opposite over adjacent. Okay, so this is something we'll be learning soon, but it's equal to opposite over adjacent. So when we look at our reference angle z, it's 21. So I'm going to label this side. If I go opposite the angle z, I'm going to label that opposite. I'm going to look at what's opposite the right angle. That's got to be my hypotenuse. The longest side is my hypotenuse. And so the directions also say use these words, opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent. So adjacent means next to. So it's a little tricky, but you notice it looks like side 35 is next to angle z and the side that's 28 long is next to it. But this one's already called the hypotenuse. So we call this side the adjacent side. Okay, now let's plug this in. So the opposite side is 21 and the adjacent side is 28. So this is how we'll be setting up these problems as we start the new chapter. Okay, let's take a look at the next question. It says cosine of c. So that's our reference angle. So let's color that reference angle. The opposite side is 30. The hypotenuse, the longest side, is the 34. And that must mean 16 is adjacent to our reference angle. Okay, now to set it up. Well, the cosine function is a different ratio. The cosine of an angle is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so that you can Google that. That's all over the internet. That's what cosine means. So let's plug this in. The adjacent side is 16. The hypotenuse is 34. Okay, and we're going to just leave it like that for now. Next one. The sine of angle C. So the sine of angle C, our reference angle is C. So let's label the sides. And sine, the sine of angle C is equal to the ratio opposite over hypotenuse. So if you Google the sine, it says opposite over hypotenuse. So that's what we need to set up. Opposite here is 28 and hypotenuse is 35. Tangent of angle X. So our reference angle is X. So we're going to put opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. So the tangent of X, if you remember from before, the tangent of an angle is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so opposite in this problem is 32, adjacent is 24. Okay. Cosine of an angle A. So here's my reference angle. Now be careful, they kind of flip this thing over a little bit. Cosine of an angle. Well, the cosine of an angle is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So let's label all our sides. If I go opposite, I get to the 16. If the hypotenuse is 34, the longest side, opposite the right angle. So this must be my adjacent side next to the angle. So the adjacent side is 30 and the hypotenuse is 34. Cool. Sine of angle A. Ooh, now they picked this angle down here. So my reference angle is sine. So the sine of angle A, the sine of a function is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, so let's label our sides. The opposite angle A is 32. 40 is my hypotenuse, and the side next to that I haven't labeled yet, that would be my adjacent side. So now let's fill this in. Opposite angle A is 32, and hypotenuse is 40. Sine. The sine of angle Z, well, the sine of any angle is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So sine of angle Z, let's identify that angle and label the sides according to that reference angle. So this is 24 is opposite angle Z, Here's my hypotenuse, and so that leaves me my adjacent side. So opposite is 24, and the hypotenuse is the number 40. Sine of angle C. So the sine of angle C is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So let's identify our reference angle C. Opposite would be way over here, 14. Hypotenuse is 50, the largest number, right? And then this would be my adjacent side. So let's take a look. Opposite is the number 14 in this problem, and the hypotenuse is 50. 9. The cosine of reference angle Z. So the cosine of Z is adjacent over hypotenuse. So let's identify angle Z as our reference angle. Opposite would be the 18. Hypotenuse is 30. This leaves the adjacent side 24. Now adjacent is what I want. So the adjacent is 24 and the hypotenuse in this problem is 30. Okay, tangent of C. So the tangent of an angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. Okay, so let's find our reference angle C and label the sides. Okay, so opposite, that's the hypotenuse, that's the adjacent. So I need the opposite, which is the number 27, and the adjacent, which is the number 36. Great job, guys. Maybe try to do the back and then check the video. This would be a good point to pause. Give it a try on your own. Okay, welcome back. Let's keep going. So the cosine of Z, right? The cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent 12, hypotenuse 15. I'm actually going to go down vertically because it'll fit. So the tangent of an angle is opposite over adjacent. So let's find angle C. This would be the opposite. Here's my hypotenuse. There's the adjacent. So opposite is 40. Adjacent is 30. Tangent of angle C is opposite over adjacent. So reference angle C, that would be my opposite. There's my hypotenuse, so this would be adjacent. So opposite is 12 over 35, adjacent. Sine of Z. Sine of Z, sine is the ratio opposite over hypotenuse. So let's locate our reference angle. 12 would be opposite, this would be hypotenuse, so this would be adjacent. So opposite is 12, hypotenuse 37. Good job, guys. Now let's check out 12. So the cosine of an angle is adjacent over hypotenuse. So let's take a look. Reference angle is C, so this side is opposite. Here's my hypotenuse, and this is adjacent. Okay, so my adjacent's 27, and my hypotenuse I've labeled 45. Tangent. The tangent of an angle is opposite over adjacent. So let's take a look. If I pick angle A, 21 is opposite. Here's my hypotenuse, and this would be the adjacent side. Okay, so what do I need? I need opposite, and I need the adjacent. All right, tangent of x. So the tangent of x is opposite over adjacent, and so let's find our reference angle x. 30 is opposite angle x. 50 is the hypotenuse, and here's the adjacent. Cool. So let's plug this in. Opposite, we labeled the side that was 30. Adjacent, we labeled the side that was 40. All right, sine of z. So the sine of z is the ratio opposite over hypotenuse. All right, so let's find angle z. And relative to that angle, this would be opposite, hypotenuse, and this would be my adjacent side. Okay, now let's look at my ratio I need. I need the opposite side, 30, and my hypotenuse, 50. Cool. Okay, what's going on with these last four? It says use a calculator, online calculator, just type this into Google, round to the nearest hundredth place. So that looks like money, like dollars and cents. So let's do that now. In this gray calculator, once you get to class, or if you have one, I think you can get those at Office Depot, the sine of 48, you have to type in backwards. So you hit clear, 48 sine, and that's the decimal. So I get 0.7431, but remember, I want to round to the nearest hundredth, so I'm going to stop 2 places after the decimal. Cosine is 61. Okay, so clear it, and then you hit 61 and the cosine button. We get our answer, 0.484. So the 4, I'm not going to round the 8 up, so 0.4848 would round to, this 8 would not round up, so it would be like that, rounded to the nearest hundredth. Sine of 38, so clear, 38 sine, we get 0.61566 rounded to the hundredth. So now that there's a 5 there, I'm going to round the 1 up to a 2. So rounds up to what looks like 62 cents. Cosine of 51, hit clear, 51, ooh, I hit the wrong button. 51 cosine, and I get the number here. I'm going to round up to 63 hundredths. Thanks for joining us, guys.